starting the Ezras Hashem Siman Mem Beis, Vayoel Moshe, and in the last two Simanim we talked about how that the Rambam paskin that there's no geula without tshuva, and the question was that goes only like one shita in Sanhedrin. Doesn't seem to be the shita we paskin like. And anyway, it's a machlokes about what Hashem does in the world, so why should the Rambam go and paskin on it? Basically, the answer was in Siman Mem Aleph that the Rambam is not paskening on what will happen before Mashiach comes. Before Mashiach comes, there won't be tshuva. It could be Mashiach come without tshuva. But after he comes, before the kibbutz galuyos begins, there has to be tshuva. Okay, so Siman Mem Beis. V'hoidia lanu Rambam zal davar gadol. Af shebe'emes l'dina ein nafkamina lanu. He says the Rambam is telling us when he says there's going to be tshuva before the exiles are gathered in, he's telling us a big thing. And this really goes back to the question that was raised in earlier Simanim about why didn't the Rambam bring down the Shalosh Shevuos? He's going to say now that basically the answer to that the Rambam didn't bring down the Shalosh Shevuos because he used this instead. Take a look what he says. He says, even though be'emes l'dina, it doesn't really matter for halacha purposes whether there's going to be tshuva before the kibbutz galuyos or not.
Right, the mitzvah still applies, the tshuva still applies. You can't abolish it based on some prophecy.
Right. But there is an nafkamina, and he's going to say now. Ein nafkamina l'dina lonu leida ma yiyeh achar biyas haMashiach. You don't have to know what's going to happen after Mashiach comes. Kamash kasav Rambam b'hilchos malachim shelo lisasik bazeh. The Rambam says not to think about too much what's going to happen after Mashiach comes. Leida eich yiyu hanyanim achar biyas haMashiach. Because there's no nafkamina. Mimanavshach. Kivin shesoiv shezav tacham yat Torah. Since the Rambam anyway holds that this is going to happen, this is the Torah's promise, the Torah Kedosha, the Vada Yiyah came. It's for sure going to be that way. Even if we don't know now that it's going to happen, it's going to happen. So there's no point in us knowing. But however, he says this is why the Rambam says it. Omnam davar zehu hechrech gadol leida achshav shelo yiyeh makom litois b'geula shel sheker. But the reason why the Rambam said it is to prevent us from falling into a false geula, the trap of a false Mashiach. Because kinech anan, take a look. If anybody comes and claims to be Mashiach or claims to redeem the Jews, we'll take a look. We'll see the Mimanashach. Whichever the case is, even call Yisrael Yas and Tshuva. If we see that everyone did Tshuva, v'yikaimu es haTorah Kedosha, v'chol chukosel mishpatel, and everybody keeps the whole Torah, then b'vada yiyeh tekef hagula, then the geula will certainly come by itself. Chazal say that all the end times have come and gone, and we're only waiting for tshuva. So as soon as tshuva comes, there's going to be a geula. Rabbi Shiur ben Levi. The Gemara also in Sanhedrin, in the same place, Sadik Ches, I think, it says that Rabbi Shiur ben Levi found Mashiach and he asked him, Amos Mar, when are you coming?
Mashiach
said, what?
I'm coming today.
Yeah, Hayoim, he's coming today. So he said, well, Hayoim, he's coming today? He said, he's making fun of me. So he went back to the Beis Medrash, and the other Amoraim told him, Mashiach meant, maybe Eliyahu told him that Mashiach meant, Hayoim im b'koiloi sishmo. Today, if we do tshuva, if we listen to Hashem's voice. Okay? So that's on the side that we do tshuva. We do tshuva, there's going to be a gula. If we didn't do tshuva yet, then Hishri Shlanu Rambam Zal, the Rambam's teaching us in his halachas, it's impossible that there will be a gula. The cost of Sheshem Avur B'Kra, it's a pasuk in the Parshas Nitzavim. It's a promise from the Torah. Tshuva mukdemes legula. V'im kein misha choyshev hahepech. If so, whoever thinks that there could be a gula without tshuva, sheyesh mitzias legula b'li tshuva, harehu choyshev neged amavur b'Kra. He's thinking against the pasuk. V'hu koyfer b'Torah rachmana litzlan. So he's being a koyfer. So basically like this, if we see a false Mashiach, we see a candidate for Mashiach, and he comes and says, I'm Mashiach, I'm going to make the gula now. So we'll tell him, if they did tshuva, the gula will come anyway, so we don't need you. And Elamai must be, there's no tshuva. So if there's no tshuva, then...
No need to claim to be Mashiach, there already is tshuva. It's going to be obvious at that point.
Right, and then the other thing is that how does this thing prevent us from making a mistake? Let's say you didn't do tshuva, and Mashiach's not here. for some reason. So what's preventing us from making a Zionist movement then? So the answer is because we don't really know what's in people's hearts and who did tshuva and who didn't.
Yeah.
So if we think there's tshuva, but Mashiach didn't come, obviously we're making a mistake. That's really the answer to that question. So there's never going to be a situation when we can make a Zionist movement. So that's how the Rambam basically brought down the Shalosh Shevuos without saying them, because the Rambam is saying that there's no way that we can know when the time comes, and when the time does come, it's going to come by itself. Alright, the only thing that you could ask here is that in Hilchos Malachim, the Rambam says there that what's the process of Bias HaMashiach. He says if someone will come, Yamod Melech in Beis David, and he'll be Koife, Kol Yisrael, Leilich Ba, he'll force everybody to do tshuva, and then he's Loichem Melchemes Hashem, then he's Becheskes Mashiach. You think he's Mashiach. And if he continues and he builds the base of Mikdash and gathers Nidchei Yisrael, then he's B'Badei Mashiach. If not, the Rambam says, then he's just a regular Tamalchi Yisrael Aksherim. He's not anything special, but he's not Mashiach, but he's not a Rasha either. He's just someone who tried and failed. So, the question is, if we're going to say what the Rebbe is saying here, that the Geula can only come if there's tshuva. So if there's tshuva, it will come anyway. Elamai, there wasn't tshuva, so then how is Mashiach going to get to stage 2? In other words, how do you force everyone to do tshuva? Remember what we said before. Yeah, but the problem is, if he forces everyone to do tshuva, then there's going to be a Geula for sure. The Rambam's saying there that it could be that Mashiach will do that stage, and then he'll fail on the second stage. So the question is, if he's going to do the first stage, how could he ever fail on the second stage? I see. And if he's not going to do the first stage, then he didn't do the first stage.
But not automatically Mashiach.
Right, but the question is that according to this, that can never happen.
Right, what's the answer?
So I was thinking the answer should be that that it's the Skala, when Mashiach comes and he does the tshuva, and then he does the second step and he fails, it's the Skala, it's revealed to us that now the first tshuva wasn't really a tshuva. We thought it was at the time, and maybe Mashiach, that false Mashiach, had a potential to be Mashiach, and he thought it was too, but if he fails in stage 2, so obviously stage 1 wasn't stage 1 either.
Yes.
Okay, but only Mashiach has the right to try. That's the point. Only someone claiming, Zionists don't even claim that somebody is Mashiach.
Or Zionists say that they'll do that. They'll all Mashiach work for him.
When you mentioned Bar Kokhba perhaps.
Right. So Bar Kokhba claimed at least to be Mashiach. So Rabbi Kiva had a right to follow him. But here we don't have anybody who claims to be Mashiach. Okay. Fine. The Rambam Zal Kosav Be'Perek Yud Aleph Milchus Malachim. The Rambam at the beginning, what I just said was Perek Yud Aleph Halacha Daled. Now he's saying Perek Yud Aleph Halacha Aleph Milchus Malachim. D'lachein mi she'eino ma'amin b'bias HaMashiach. Anybody who doesn't believe in the coming of Mashiach, or she'eino machakel b'yaseh, or doesn't wait for him, havi koifer b'Torah u'b'Moshe Rabbeinu. He's considered a koifer. Why? Because the Torah says Eidos that Mashiach will come. The Torah says V'shav Hashem Elokecha Shvuscha. It doesn't say beferish that there'll be a person who's a king. It doesn't say that, but it just says Hashem will bring back the exiles. He'll have mercy on you. V'shav V'kibetzcha Mikol Ha'amim. He'll gather you from all the nations. V'yacha Hashem, and he'll bring you to Eretz Yisrael. Ve'elu advarim ha'mefurashim b'Torah heim koilim kol advarim shenemru al yidei kol hanavim ad kan l'shoynai. The Rambam says all these things in Parshas Nisavim include in them all the things that are written in the Nevi'im about Mashiach. So even though it doesn't say beferish, there'll be a king, but it means it. It means the same thing. So if someone's koifer in Mashiach, he's koifer in that pasuk. V'im kein kedimas hatshuva shehi kodemes l'chol elu. He's saying by the same token, just like he's saying that if it's written in Nisavim and you don't believe it, you're koifer and nani maming. So if it's written in Nisavim that tshuva will come before, right? It says tshuva kodemes l'chol elu hadvarim ha'mefurashim shenemru al yidei kol hanavim. All these things that the Rambam says is really the same thing that the Nevi'im are saying. Hu gam kein mevur b'oisei pasuk. That's also written in the same pasuk, in the same parsha in Nitzavim. The Torah is saying that it's true. K'moy al bias Mashiach. So if you don't believe in that, it's the same idea as not believing in Mashiach. Okay, now he's going to say that it's even worse. Take a look. Ve'ein safek she'ein chiluk bein ha'koifer b'avtacha zu she'iyaf she'legula b'loi tshuva. That there's no difference between someone who's koifer in this promise of gula without tshuva le'ha'koifer b'avtacha shel bias HaMashiach. It's actually worse to be koifer in geula without tshuva.
Why?
He says, and I'll just say outside first what he says. He says that basically the only reason why we have to believe in Mashiach is because it's written in the pasuk.
Yeah.
Without that, there's no external reason. There's no intrinsic reason why Mashiach should be one of the Ikrei Emunah.
Yeah.
Mashiach, in this, there is an intrinsic reason. It's not just that it's written in the pasuk. It's also that we can't take action to do something that Hashem says, I'm going to do. And if you take action on that, you're basically denying His providence in the world.
I think it's the first Ani Maamar. Ani Maamar, Buddha Shema, Sheboichar Shobora Kor Bruim, Huval No Komasim.
Right, so anytime we do something that's hishtadlus, we have to have a heter for it. Because Hashem is really doing everything. So why do we have a heter to go to work, Mashal?
Only Hashem says so.
Because it says so in the Torah. But Mashenkin over here, where the Torah doesn't say to do it, that's basically what he's going to say in the coming Simanim and here. So he says, Gerua Yoister, it's worse. Shekvar Bir Achasam Soifer B'chelik Yordeh Siman Shin Vav Shemeikra Asfar Ef Shaloi Mar Shagula Hu Echad Meikre Adas. It really, on your own, we wouldn't say such a thing that Geula, that Mashiach is one of the 13 Animamins.
Why?
Because the whole point of the 13 Animamins is that these things are, if one of these things is missing, then the whole Yiddishkeit is falls down. Because let's say you say any of the descriptions of Hashem is, you don't believe in any of those things, the first 5 Animamins, right?
Yeah.
So it comes out, you're not praying to Hashem, you're praying to somebody else.
Yeah.
You think Hashem has a goof, you think that He's not the Rishon, not the Achron, so then you're not you're not serving Hashem. Same thing with the part about the Torah. If you don't believe the Torah is from Moshe Rabbeinu, then okay, then the whole Torah is not worth anything. Understand? So any of the Animamins, schar v'oinish. If you don't believe in that, then...
Or that Hashem reads minds, or that Hashem punishes and rewards.
So the question is, when it comes to this thing about Mashiach, like, basically, he's asking
what's the issue about it, right?
If Mashiach, let's say Mashiach wasn't going to come. Let's say there's no such thing as Mashiach. So it's good, you still have to keep the Torah. Hashem still gave a Torah.
I mean, how can you say Koifer B'Chol or Kula, the Rambam, like the Rambam reads the Imam that he'll believe Mashiach? That's a kasha. Okay, so what's the answer?
It says, Shebeikra Asfar Ef Shalom Hashagulu Hu Echad Meikre Adas. She'ilu Hayachas V'Shalom Chatoreinu Garmim She'yigarish Hasanu Gerish Olam. Let's say that because of our sins it would be so bad that Hashem would throw us away completely. Never take us back to Eretz Yisrael again. Not throw us away as a people, but throw us away from...
the Zionists will never even want to look at Hashem, because
he says,
we didn't even think about it.
Rabbi Kiva actually holds that the 10 tribes that were set into Galus are never going to come back.
Wow.
There's not going to be a Gula for them. Shem Nidachim Lo'elam. So let's say someone from the 10 tribes, does he have to keep the Kol Torah Kula? About it, he does, yeah?
Okay.
Would it be possible to say just because of that you're allowed to throw off the mitzvahs? Could you just violate anything, even the D'Rabbanan? Even the smallest thing about a nisht, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that Mashiach is going to come is not a foundation of our emunah.
But it's a 12 Iker Emunah. How could it be?
Oh, so that's the Chasam Sofer's kasha.
Oh, that's right. How could it be right? How could it be a 12 Iker Emunah? Yeah.
So he says, Kivan she'ikar yesod hakol lahamin b'Torah. But the teretz is that since one of the yesodas is to believe in the Torah, v'sham nemar geula seinu achroina, and the Torah does say that we're going to have a final geula, the Parshas Nitzavim, the Hazinu, the end of Hazinu also. So im kain misha mefakfik al geula, someone who doubts it, halaz, this gula, it's like he's denying the Torah. Because the Torah says it's going to happen and he doesn't think it's going to happen.
How is it different than any other mitzvah?
So this is what I was going to ask. That
so what? Many things the Torah is sure.
Right. There's a lot of things the Torah says. The Torah says.
So why is this different?
There was Bilam and the donkey.
Yeah.
The Torah says that it was Koyach. Let's say someone doesn't believe in one of the stories in the Torah because he never read it before. In other words, if someone knows the Torah and he's koifer, and I understand why that's a koifer. Let's say someone never read the Torah. Never doesn't know. So the Yud Gil Mami Ma means the idea is it's like there's no excuse. Like Reb Chaim said that a Nebuch HaPikoros, you ever heard? Reb Chaim says a Nebuch HaPikoros, Reb Chaim Brisker. He said that let's say someone didn't know one of the Yud Gil Mami Ma, he just never learned. Total Lam arts.
Yeah.
So he's still a koifer.
All right.
It's too bad, those things, it's just too bad. If you didn't learn it, it's too bad. Mashenkin, the rest of the Torah says a lot of things. The Torah says that there's going to be, that there's You know, there's stories.
Right, so how is that different? Anything the Torah says?
If someone doesn't believe that the Abraham Avinu did the Akedah or something, it's written in the Torah, but let's say someone never read it. So is he not the Koheres? No, right?
But what about Moshe being the greatest Navi? Nobody can know if they read the Torah.
Oh, no, but that's an Iker, because there, if you don't believe Moshe is the greatest Navi, then another Navi could come along and overturn it, and then you don't have the Torah anymore. So that's why that's an Iker. But Stam, to just list every single fact in the Torah as part of the Yud Gimel Ani Mamins, you'd have much more than Yud Gimel Ani Mamins then. So this is Taka Kasha. Anyway,
answer? I don't have an answer.
Not right now. I don't know.
Okay.
Okay. So, but this is basically the Chassam Sofer. It's not the Satmar Rebbe saying this. Chassam Sofer is answering this teretz.
Yeah.
Okay. Yuyin Sham Sheherich Bidvarim Bruin. Maybe if we see it inside, we'll understand what he's answering. Umikol Shekain. So now he says like this. So that's what the Chassam Sofer says about Mashiach. So Mikol Shekain HaKofer B'Avtach Zu. If someone denies the promise that there'll be tshuva before the Geula, Shebe'oisei Akra. It's in the same pasuk that talks about Mashiach. She'iyav Shel Geula B'li Tshuva. That it can't be that the Mashiach will start gathering in the Yidden from exile without tshuva. Shemilvad shekoifer. Here it's worse. Why? Because milvad, besides the fact shekoifer b'mashem v'vur b'kra, that he's denying what the pasuk says, gam etzem ho'inyan likach la'atzmoi geula. The idea of taking yourself a geula without Hashem, u'melucha, taking yourself a kingdom, a country, terem higia eis chaketz, before the end of Galus comes, hu inyan shal kvir rachman al-Litzlan. That's an idea of kvir, because you're denying that Hashem is the one running the world. In other words, it's worse to believe that you can make a Zionist movement and do things on your own than just someone who doesn't believe in Mashiach at all. If someone doesn't believe in Mashiach at all, okay. So
he believes keeping the Torah, though.
He doesn't believe what the Torah says, but at least he's not doing something against the Hashkacha of Hashem.
All the way, you're right.
But here he's doing something, he's saying, you know what? I'm going to do it myself. I'm not waiting for Hashem to do it. He's going to explain more why it's kfira to try to do it by yourself. He says the Marash Yafa, it's the Rav Shmuel ben Yitzchak Yafa, the Pirush on the Medrash, Yefei Soyar, Yefei Koil, on the bottom of Medrash Shir Shirim, Sheshakasav Mashom Chazal Bnei Ephraim, that when Chazal say on Bnei Ephraim, Loihem Minu Belakim, the Bnei Ephraim went out of Mitzrayim 30 years early, right?
Yeah.
So Chazal say, Loihem Minu Belakim, they didn't believe in Hashem.
Of course they did. How could they say it?
Right. So the Afsh and Fakert, they believed and they knew there was going to be a Geula, and they calculated 400 years, and they came up with this time. So what do you mean they didn't believe? So he says the Afsh Shaloi Haya El Tois, even though it was just a mistake. Shalapichesh Boinam Nishlamu Adal Mei Shana, but they thought they calculated the end of the 400 years. Beheminu Bidvarai, they believed in Hashem. In the promise, they trusted Hashem was going to save him from the enemies when they came out. According to what they thought. Now, why is it called kfira? Because the Marashal says, because since they didn't receive any nevuah, any message from Hashem that this is the time, like Moshe came and said, "Koy pakadti." That's how they knew he was the Goyal. Yeah. But nobody came 30 years before and said that. So they didn't receive any prophecy, any direct contact from Hashem. So therefore, that should have been a red flag. They should have known this is not it. They shouldn't have gotten up and made their own Yitzias Mitzrayim. They should have realized that they made a mistake from the fact that there was no nevuah. Okay? So the same thing now, that even if the Zionists have some kind of cheshbon with Rishonim and the Redak and this and Kasher and all the books that they could write, but as long as there's no contact from Hashem, there's no message that this is the time of the Geula.
Besides, we weren't even given a time anyhow. We weren't even given any number of years.
Oh, so that's what he's going to say now. That's what the Marash Yafa says earlier on Aliyah B'Chayma. The Kiva de Hashem Pizaranu, since Hashem scattered us, since He's the one who scattered us, we have no reshus to gather ourselves in until Hashem does it through Mashiach. Now here's what you just said. This is much more of a svara now than it was in Mitzrayim. Nobody knows when the Galus is going to end. Rambam says, when he's talking to the Jews of Yemen, he says, The given the af begolas Mitzrayim, even in Mitzrayim when there was a case, Shemavura Cheshvan Dalam Shana, there was a number. Hashem gave to Avraham Avinu a number of 400 years. Still, we didn't know exactly how to count the 400 years, where to start from. Right? Bnei Ephraim started too early. We only knew because Moshe and Aaron came and said the famous words, right? So Mikol Shekem Begalas Hazeh, all the more so today, Shepachdu Anavim, even the Navim were afraid. V'chardu, they trembled, they roiv arichase, because it was so long. You see, Yaakov Avinu, right, saw the Galus and his vision by the Sulam, and he saw Galus going up and up and up. He didn't know where it was going to end.
And even Avram, when Hashem showed Avram Galus and Gehenna, and had to choose 21, even Avram chose Gehenna because Avram saw Galus so long. He thought Gehenna would be better. Hashem said, no, really, Galus is better. Although really Galus is better, but Avram just thought Gehenna would be better because Galus, you saw how long Galus was.
Yeah. So in Mavura b'Daniel, Shu Sastum v'Nehel, at the end of Daniel, you see that the Psukim say some numbers, but it says it's very difficult. So we can't know exactly when it's going to happen until it happens. So therefore, there's no reason to make a mistake. But even if someone would make a mistake and calculate that this is going to be the year of Mashiach, he shouldn't take any action, because you see that if you didn't get a contact, you didn't get a nevuah from Hashem, then it's obvious. Uve Medrash Rabbah Dvarim Perek Aleph Siman Yud Tes. He says, I'll bring you another raya that we don't have any idea when Mashiach is going to come, and we can't do anything before he comes. Take a look. Mahu Panu Lachem Tzafayna. When the Jews in the Midbar encountered Esav, Hashem said to them, turn to the north. So word Tzafayna could also be understood as being like Hatzfinu Atzmechem, hide yourself. So Tzafun.
Tzafun, even
by the Haggadah.
The direction of Tzafun has the quality of hidden, as the Maamar else says. Because in the north, the sun is not openly revealed as in the south.
The sun goes down, right?
Right, because in the north, the earth is more tilted away from the sun than the south is.
If you see that Esav is coming against you, al tamdu kenegdo. Don't stand up against him. Don't go and invade the White House and send letters to every senator and jump on them and scream at them. No.
There's no proof that even are Esav.
Right. Al tamdu kenegdo. Hamtinu ad achshav melech hamashiach lavoim. A funny word here, achshav, but the Mefarshim on the Medrash, the Matnas Kuna say it means adayin. So hamtinu ad adayin melech hamashiach.
What Medrash is this?
It's Medrash Rabbah. It says, wait until Melech HaMashiach comes, or adayin Melech HaMashiach lavoim. He's still going to come. Don't wait. Don't worry. He's still coming. He'll fulfill the pasuk that how much is the good that you have hidden away for the people who fear you. So tzafanta is lashon tzafain, so there's like a double lashon. Hide yourself from Mashiach. Hide yourself from Esav, and also wait until Mashiach comes and he'll give you the tzafun, the treasures that are hidden away for us. It says also there, that the Jews said to Hashem, how long are we going to be under Esav, living in Galus under Esav? So Hashem said back, until that day when the star goes forth, in other words, when Mashiach comes. That time I'll appear with my Malchus, I'll rule over you, and Lishpoy is Har Esav, and that's when Esav will have his downfall. But until then, not. Okay? V'cheinhu b'medrash Rabbah, Seder Vayera, Parsha Nun Vav, Vayaras Amakom Merachik. By the Akedah, it says that on the third day, Avraham Avinu was traveling with Yitzchak and his servants, and he saw the place from far. So Amr Yitzchak, Asi Amakom Merachik Mibailov. The place is the Beis HaMikdash. That's the place where the Akedah happened, and that place will one day be far away from its owners, which means the Jewish people. In other words, we'll be in Galus and we'll be far away from the Makom HaMikdash. Ula Olam, the Medrash asks, is it going to be forever? The Medrash says no. It's a pasuk in Tehillim, I think Kuflam base, it says, this is my place of rest forever, so there's going to be a Geula. And when will it be? When Mashiach comes, because it's said about Mashiach that he's going to be a poor man riding on a donkey. And this ties in with the pasuk in the Akedah that it says, Vayaris hamakom merachik, and Vayomer Avraham El Ne'arav Shvu lachem poim machamor. He said to the servants, stay here with the donkey. It's a memes to this idea that stay and wait until the donkey comes, until Mashiach comes riding on a donkey. Okay? Gam b'masha omru b'gemara. Another raya. The Gemara says, Ein bein oil mazeh limois Mashiach el shibud malchius. It says that there's no difference in the nature of the world between now and when Mashiach comes. The only difference will be that we'll be free from the malchius. We won't be under anybody else's government. So mavur shal kaponim chayis mishibud malchius tali rak b'bias Mashiach. You see that at least that will change when Mashiach comes. And it can't be that before Bias HaMashiach there'll be a freedom from exile. So in other words, we're going to live under other nations until Mashiach comes. It's a clear lie against Zionism. Even those who disagree with Shmuel, this member is Shmuel, right? But there's a Madomer, Rabbi Yochanan, right? Rabbi Yochanan holds that there will be Nisim when Mashiach comes.
Yeah.
So according to him, he argues, but even he doesn't argue in this point. He says, it's just that they hold that other natural changes will happen after Bias HaMashiach.
Maharal just says,
but we'll just finish the sentence. They're not arguing about the fact that Shiva Malchis will change when Mashiach comes.
The Maharal simply says on Shmuel that Shmuel holds that everything will be restored the way it was at the beginning. So therefore it's not a stira.
Chenu Lashon Rashi Zal Sanhedrin Dav Tzadik Aleph on base Dira Maskal Khan Limois HaMashiach. That there the Gemara in Sanhedrin asks a stira in Psukim. One pasuk says V'chafra Halavana Boisha Chama, that the sun and the moon won't be needed anymore. They'll be embarrassed because their light won't be needed. And another pasuk says that the moon will be like the sun. Wait, what
does that mean exactly?
That the moon will be like the sun today, and the sun will shine 7 times as strong as the light of the 7 days of creation. So that it says that it's a steer. One pasuk says that we'll have strong sun and moon. The other pasuk says no, we won't even need them because Hashem will be, the light of the Shekhinah will be so strong that we won't need them. So the Gemara in Sanhedrin answers that Kan Limois HaMashiach, Kan Lo'olam Haba. One pasuk is talking right away after Mashiach comes. The other pasuk is talking later on. So Rashi says Kan Limois HaMashiach Kishayichla HaShibud. That's talking when the Shibud ends, when our exile ends. That's when the Chama and the sun will be, the moon will be like the sun, and the sun will be 7 times stronger. Yeah. But you see, Klar from Rashi, the ending of the exile, Tali B'Bias HaMashiach. Those two things are synonymous. You can't have ending of the exile before Bias HaMashiach. Alright? V'oid b'har b'Maamar and b'divrei Chazal, you see a lot of statements by Chazal, ein mispar, without count. Can't even count how many there are. There won't be any freedom from the exile until Mashiach comes. But even after Mashiach comes, he won't let us come back to Eretz Yisrael and have freedom from exile until there is tshuva. So it's a double thing. When someone believes in Zionism, basically he's believing 2 things wrong. Number one, he's saying that without Mashiach there could be a freedom from Shiva Malchus. And then, secondly, even with Mashiach there won't be a freedom from Shiva Malchus unless there's tshuva first, which is that Rambam.